Welcome back to the LCS Lounge. Spawn.
Thank you.
How'd you enjoy the cast?
I miss casting so much, I'm not gonna lie. To actually be able to just enjoy League of Legends again is very fun.
It is true. Watching as a coach is you actually hate watching the game.
I actually feel like
While
as a
it's
coach,
happening.
you have to watch it twice. Once when you're actually coaching, and then
Yes.
once to see what you actually watched, because the game is just so different.
And then a third time when you're actually reviewing it with the team. It's just miserable.
But credit to both the teams. I actually thought that was pretty high-level League of Legends, and I feel like both teams knew there were one crucial play or one mistake away from losing the game, and I feel like they played the knife's edge pretty well in that series.
What was interesting to me is like me and Emily were just tracking at the very tail end of it. The fact that they ended up taking the Nexus in a goal deficit. Like that was Cloud9 basically winning a crucial team fight and being able to end the game while not having a goal lead, and I think that means a lot to them because even off the interview that you had with Blabber, it's like, sure, Blabber's going to be very aware of the mistakes that he made, but also the fact that they're able to win these fights while the game at times is escaping them. I thought it's a really good, kudos to them.
Yeah, number 2 seed going to Cloud9, number 3 seed going to FlyQuest. They're going to play Energy in the first round of playoffs in the 3-6 matchup. The 4-5 matchup is going to be Dignitas versus 100 Thieves. We don't know who's going to be 4th until this series happens, though. Dig, if they win, they get the 4. I checked with them to see if they're going to have a for fun series.
Yeah?
Everyone on Dig said that it's not a for fun series, except for Jensen. Who said he's just running it down no matter what.
And there he goes. He's leaving. He's not even playing. It's a genuine 4v5. Sven's going to go get it.
Speaking of Jensen, last week he actually had a pretty good performance on Zeri.
Yeah, actually, oh my God, his Zeri performance. I know that in game 1 he had made a mistake in a river team fight. I think this was this one team fight that he got popped. Either way, he had a few that was kind of poor. But then he had the game-winning team fight through mid lane, where he was able to get like 3 members on his Zeri ulti and chase down. So and then the next game, just completely cleaned house. Really well done from him.
And what I will say is that Jensen is a player that has constantly re-evolved, in my opinion. Everyone would know him for his, Orianna Azir, but his LeBlanc has always been really good historically. He plays the Zillion, and then now to be able to thrive in an AD carry meta. I don't think a lot of people would give him that credit for it, but to me, he's been one of the surprises of the season. I enjoy watching him play.
Yeah, I remember watching a draft come through and we were not super confident, I would say, just based on prior performances, but it was also cool to see him not necessarily figure out the champion over the series, but obviously look a lot more comfortable on it as the series went on, and that's a great thing for Dignitas going into playoffs if we expect double AD carry meta to still be a thing.
And we're going to see Dignitas again, so I kind of want to hit on Immortals because I have listened to a couple of Immortals sections, and to me, Immortals solo lanes are actually very good. However, they do seem disconnected from the rest of the team, so there's always this argument, should Armao just focus about playing around tactical in the bottom lane, or should he continue to give resources to Castle and Mask? And to me, it's just like, there's so much unfulfilled potential in this team. It actually leaves a bad taste in your mouth based on how they've been playing, because I've always said that they could be a playoff contender team if they can just get that cohesion together. So see whether with their season over, now they can pull it out.
I do like how you brought this up. I made up a stat last split or year, whenever Revenge was in the league, called the Revenge Horizon.
Yep.
And it's when you are ahead in goal, you're ahead in CSD at 14, but as a team, you're down in gold at 14.
Okay.
Currently, for solo laners, Mask is leading the league in Revenge Horizons.
Nice.
So your point actually checks out in the fact that he has been performing relatively well, but the team is just not quite there and never really able to achieve victory.
And that's the thing with the IMT. I feel like they have a few negative moments where it's like the closeness stat that we have in which they're close with their opponents throughout a game, they're the highest. Like they're generally incredibly close with their opponents throughout series, right? They have close games, but usually there's that one crucial team fight around mid lane where a member makes a mistake, be it Armao or Olleh or somebody, and then the game is lost from that point. Where I feel like early on in the split, they had a really good lane swap. They had good advantages off of it, but they can't really generally keep those advantages. And I love the point that you had made. Mask, there are games where if he's on Corki, he's CSing perfectly, he's playing through side lanes, but it's never so much that one team fight that they can clinch.
Yeah, and I also think, as a viewer, it's easy to not be invested in an Immortals game because they're eliminated from playoffs, but especially with this being Summer Split and a massive offseason approaching, these players, there's a level of being able to cherish the moment that this could be the last game that the 5 of them play together as teammates. So a lot of times these teams actually put up some really great performances in their final games of the split.
And stuff all that, you're playing for a contract next year.
Yeah.
Like, at the end of the day, we're professionals. We're here to make some money and feed our families. So every single person on Immortals is like, I need to crush my opponent because I need that job.
With that, what are the predictions for today?
I think that feeling is going to be strong, and I have IMT taking it 2-1.
Let's go, Raz.
That's going to be a very strong feeling. Now that they know that they have like no stress on their shoulders, they're going to be playing the best games they have.
I'm going to go cast this game, so Raz, you're in charge.
Oh my God!
Oh,
All
wow.
right,
Wait,
fine.
that's the most cursed person you could
That's
not.
completely fine by me. I guess just any general feelings that you guys have on this series, since you think Dignitas is taking it.
So the reason why I said Dig is taking it, because I think IMT are going to come out, like you said, and play very freely.
Yeah.
I do think it's a really good point. We're going to have a lot of changes in the LCS next split. And this is also almost a resume builder, right? Like, you want to look good. I think IMT will come out and win game 1, and then I think Dig will win the next games.
You got the last word.
I'm so biased here because Jensen and Zven are actually 2 of my favorite players to watch all time. So I just went with the Homer 2-0,
Nice.
to be
Yeah.
honest.
I
Because
appreciate it.
I really enjoy watching them play League of Legends.
Same.
I'm just a fan of those guys. So I want to see them finish the season strong.
I would love to see a strong performance from either team. I would love to see a very bloody one. Like, this is going to be the last series of the LCS regular season. Let's make it a banger, please. I would appreciate it. For now, let's just send it straight over to the casters that Jatt is now joining. I appreciate that, Jatt.
Hello and welcome to the final game of the regular season, Dignitas versus Immortals. And Jatt, I gotta say, you really dropped the ball on that. You should have tossed and then immediately ran and accepted the toss.
Sure.
Yeah.
I could have done that.
You
That's
could have.
a strategy for next time. I
Yeah.
need to work on my sprints. I need to make sure my shoes
The
are
Olympics
tied.
was on. Maybe you could pick some things up, you know?
It's true. It's true. I need to work on especially getting the starting blocks ready to go.
Well, it should be a fun one. Immortals, obviously, you know, they are playing for pride. Dignitas is in playoffs. Would like to, you know, end their split on a high note. But for Immortals, I think it's really important just to be able to get some sort of a win on the board.
Yes.
They started the split with a 2-0 over Shopify. They have not only not won a series since, they have not won a game since.
Oh, no.
So they are on a 10-game losing streak, a 5-series losing streak. I want to at least see them put up a win because they have been close and even in winning positions in so many games, but never been able to close it out. We know this team is capable of more. Spawn was talking about it on the desk with you guys.
Yeah.
You know, I want to see if they can actually really kind of rise to the occasion now that the pressure is off a bit.
I completely agree. The pressure being removed is always such a boon for some of these teams that have struggled throughout the LCS split. I think a lot of fans don't necessarily understand how different your week is after a loss versus a win. And then with this new format, when it goes to best of threes, this team hasn't felt victory in a week of practice in almost 2
Long
months.
time. Yeah.
Because the split started 9 weeks ago, and that's when they picked up that first 2-0 over Shopify Rebellion. So we're on stage for Immortals' final game of the split. Dignitas is going to be moving on to the first round of playoffs where they will face 100 Thieves. Dignitas right now is currently playing for the side select in that series. So the 4 seed is better than the 5 seed for them, and they get that with a victory.
And we'll see if they're going to be able to do it. Also interested to see, you know, how many of the picks that we saw coming out this week were kind of adaptations to the meta, and how much of it was just like, it's the end of the split, let's have some fun, right? Because we got to see Eve, we've gotten to see Aurora come out, we've gotten to see, you know, more and more adaptations. We just saw Nautilus top, which to me made sense logically for a lane swap game. We're going to be low resources anyway. You're kind of just a second support. Hey, Nautilus is a pretty good support, so let's play that. So I'll be interested to see, you know, what is being brought into this for Dignitas, especially, who obviously does care about getting side selection for playoffs.
And Aurora's up, speaking of which, because the bans have been fairly standard. Jensen first picks the Zeri likely, and there we go. And actually, they get red side Aurora for Immortals.
Yeah,
and they can flex it now between Mask and Castle.
Exactly. It can be played mid and top. In solo queue, you are seeing it some as support, but in competitive, I haven't actually seen it played support yet. It's been pretty much exclusively in solo lanes, so definitely expecting it to be thrown up in one of those solo lanes. It is a nightmare to lane against this top lane, especially as a melee champion, so at the very least, Dignitas is going to have that info. And I'll be interested to see, you know, what they're going to cook up against it, because when I think of Licorice and when I think of, you know, the champion pool that he has been bringing out, nothing he plays would want to play against this, right? Like,
Yeah.
every matchup for him seems bad. You know, he's been playing a lot of different, you know, kind of playmaking tanks, like the Xante, the Poppy. He's been bringing out Skarner. Like, those kind of picks are all very, very weak against it.
I mean, if it is the Renekton, how do you feel like that matchup would play out? I have some opinions on mid Aurora versus Zeri, but I'm not sure how the Renekton one would go.
I mean, I think it's pretty rough. I think the laning phase for almost all these melee champions is incredibly difficult. You know, basically you have to be able to look for these all-ins, but it's so tough because Renekton slices through a minion, you can pop the E on Aurora, jump back, it slows them down, and then all of a sudden you're caught in this weird pattern where Aurora gets move speed from hitting you with the Q and from getting the spirits, and he's kind of chasing you down, and she's getting these additional damage on the back end of these trades. We generally do see Fleet or Electrocute, but in top, I've seen more Fleet, and there's a lot of different builds that you can go that are pretty hard to burst down and can make it so you end up just kind of getting stuck under your tower and constantly chipped away at. So I've found it to be a very miserable champion to play against. It kind of feels like playing against AP Vayne top, I'm going to be honest.
Yeah, and I would say in mid lane, actually, even though it wouldn't be as favored as you just described for Aurora, I would still feel like Aurora is still good into Zeri because Zeri's a little bit shorter range than, say, a control mage. Like, I think if you're going to blind pick Aurora and you know it's going mid, picking a control mage into Aurora is actually the ideal matchup because of the range advantage. But Zeri is going to be in that one-shot territory throughout a lot of the laning phase if you're ever going for a trade. So I think either way, if they throw Aurora mid, it's going to be an advantageous matchup. And with the Cassante, the boring Cassante, as the fan said, locked in, I think it's the Aurora mid.
Yep, should be Aurora mid. And we'll see, you know, because there is a possibility that Zeri could also still go bot, right? So they could flex things around if they didn't want to. We obviously just saw Berserker play a bot lane Zeri game. You know, that's obviously very much his style. I am kind of expecting it to be Zeri mid. You know, we saw this from Jensen. It has been more commonly being played mid, but there is that opportunity for them to flex things around, and especially if Jensen agreed with you and thought, hey, it's a control mage is a better matchup, why not flex it?
I guess we'll get to see what he thinks, because he did have 2 strong Zeri games last week in their 2-0 to clinch some playoffs, and especially if Immortals shows their AD carry pick here, it's going to give Zven the opportunity to pick between Zeri and something else. So I actually kind of really dislike the fact, I really dislike the fact that Immortals picked their top lane so early, because it now opens them up to get counterpicked in multiple lanes despite having a strong flex pick champion and red side.
Yeah, I mean, maybe they were worried about the potential of it getting, you know, kind of trimmed down too much in that second phase of bans, but it is going to be, you know, potentially that support pick as that final pick. I'm waiting to see what they would bring out here. It is Ziggs, so this could be, again, this is flexible. Ziggs could be bot or mid, so you have 2 champions here that could be played in either lane, and it's going to be probably based off matchup. Of course, we do see more Ziggs bot these days. We do see more Zeri mid these days, but there is that possibility, because I tend to agree with you. I do think that Aurora can sometimes struggle against these champions that can get the push on her, where she can't just poke and prod and be able to harass you.
I think it's Ziggs bot just because that's what the meta is.
I think so too, yeah.
But I think if Dig wanted to be really clever, it would actually be Ziggs mid. Jensen doesn't have a huge amount of Ziggs games, although I definitely know he can play it.
Okay.
And now we'll see. Olleh just locks in the Bard.
Yeah, and he's smiling. He's smiling. He's feeling good about it. His Bard has been very good, especially when you think back to spring. He had some nasty Bard games where he was really performing well. You know, Ziggs, it's not the highest mobility. You have a satchel charge, but it's kind of hard to react to a pretty close Bard ultimate. So, you know, there is that potential to be able to throw that down, to have Aurora come in, you know, throw down the ulti over top, lock people in place, and be able to use that as a bit of a combo. I think that seems, you know, pretty synergistic in my mind. So excited to see if Immortals can actually pull something off here with a bit of a unique composition.
And I'm also just excited to see Dignitas doubling down here with some more meta team compositions. This is not traditionally what you'd think these players would be playing. If it was the old school, Zven is the AD carry player, Jensen is the control mage player, they would be playing each other's champions, but they are committing here to the Zeri mid with the Ziggs bot, and I think it's going to be a fun one. Yep,
should be exciting. Side selection on the line here for Dignitas and for Immortals. Playing for pride, trying to break that 10-game losing streak that they have since they started the split off with a bang, dominated Shopify Rebellion, and I think made a lot of people after that first week think, hey, this could be a good split for Immortals. This could be a split where they're really kind of separating themselves from the bottom. Did not work out, but now playing for pride and playing for, as Spawn said, the jobs for next split. We'll have to see if they're going to be able to get it done. Which draft do you prefer, Jatt?
right now, I gotta say, I do like the team with Aurora because I've seen a lot of strong things happening whenever Aurora is on the Rift. And here's some deep digging. I did some deep digging into the statistics.
Okay.
Even though Immortals hasn't won, I'm going to get to the stat in a second because Isles is invading Bard.
Oh, this could be trouble for Olleh, but Olleh does have the additional move speed from that first meep, it looks like.
All right,
so
he's out, but
he's chilling.
We got to pull this graphic back up because literally when the pressure is on, so almost always, since 2022, last 3 years, 22% win rate, 20-70. The game immediately after being eliminated from playoffs, they're 4-0. They're an unbeatable team. So watch out for this particular game because the extra stat on top of this is they are then winless after that game. so
they're gonna win this game and then immediately go 0-2.
So I have the perfect prediction for this series. I said Dig 2-1 because that's what the stats say the last 3 years.
You even know the game order. That makes it even better. It's not,
this is what's gonna happen.
Yeah, it's not even just a 2-1. It's like, well, Immortal's gonna come out hot, win that first game,
and then the pressure's on again. They're just like, oh man,
wait, we could actually win.
We have so much potential.
What do we do from here? As Jensen taking the rough end of a trade there. Aurora is playing Comet this time around. We do see a lot of Electrocute, we do see Fleet, but honestly, I've seen people experiment with a lot of different things with this champion. I think Comet also fairly reasonable, especially when you do hit the E, it has the slow, so with the weirding, you can kind of confirm those Comets. And I'll be interested to see what sort of a build he goes for as well, because again, there's just so many different styles of build that you've been seeing online that has made it pretty interesting. And I always kind of enjoy that exploration when a champion first comes out, you know, figuring out like what really works, what matchups it's better to go do different style of builds in.
Yeah, especially with this many champions in League of Legends, they're not as quick to release them as they were back in the olden days when Spawn was last a caster. Not this last game, but back
in the before times.
Yeah, back in the before times, 2014, 2016. But I completely agree. I would say if he gets ahead, he'll go Malignance. If he's a little bit more even, I think he's going to go something with a bit more durability.
Yep. Yeah, no, it can be interesting. I've seen some people online, especially when I've been watching a lot of Aurora players since it came out. Some people were cooking a lot with, you know, Roa into Lichbane and playing split push style builds. You know, there's some people will do all kinds of different rushes. So it can be fun to see what works, and I think it's matchup dependent. So, you know, and playing against Zeri here, he's been hitting these E's every single time. Jensen has been slow on the reaction when he steps forward. You know, I think he's trying to react once it's already going off, but he keeps getting hit by that weirding, which is always going to confirm that comment. So Jensen definitely taking the rough end of some of these trades and has already used his potion where Mask has more health and still one potion remaining. Going to be feeling pretty good about his spot so far.
We got to keep our eye on Jensen, man. He's a tricky one. I shared this story on Lounge, but I actually ran into the whole Dignitas team.
Okay.
And you never know what direction these types of games are going to go because, yes, there are stakes for Dignitas, win or lose, whether they're the 4th seed or the 5th seed. But sometimes it's hard to motivate yourself for these games because it is just side selection and you're going to have the same opponent anyway. And then you have Immortals who's already eliminated from the LCS, so you never maybe they'll play for something for fun champions. Sometimes these games can really devolve. So I wanted to check with Dignitas, like, guys, how much do you care about this seed? And all of them were like, no, the plan is try hard. We really do want side selection because it really matters. And then Jensen said, I'm just going to run it down. So maybe it's his reverse psychology to keep himself motivated, but keep your eye on this guy. Yeah. We don't know if he's going to treat this like a scrim or like the LCS finals.
I think maybe he's just covering his bases. You know, now either way, it's win-win. He's like, I told you, it's just for fun. Who cares about side selection? And if it pops off, he's like, well, I wasn't even trying. It's just that good.
I could be misremembering, so I apologize, Jensen, if I'm putting words in your mouth. But he also said it doesn't matter because we're going to lose next week anyway. So he's just making sure lower expectations so you can rise from there. Oh, nice shot by Zven.
Yeah, Tactical potentially in some trouble here. Guardian going to proc there from Olleh. Zven is getting pretty low on mana. Tactical with the potion running here. We'll see if Isles can find any sort of an angle to try to go in. As Olleh obviously, you know, still sitting pretty healthy here, but he's stepping forward. A pretty early W there from Isles. I guess he was expecting some damage to come in, but it's always a little bit weird because you kind of want to hook in, then use the W for your auto attack reset, which can get you that little bit more damage than any potential all-in.
I think they're really just trying to brute force their way in with this wave. 2 points Q for Isles as well, so definitely trying to get that all-in damage. And maybe they're trying to get a little bit of turret damage. Step up, hit it.
Yeah, and it's going to feel really good when you're actually able to control the lane like this, and you're playing TP. You're not playing that combat sum. You can see Tactical obviously is taking cleanse, kind of needed when there is Renekton, Maokai, and the Nautilus, like a lot of lockdown. So he is going to have to play cleanse, but it does mean that Zven, with the push, also has TP. Doesn't even need to necessarily use it here, but sometimes you can get your opponent really locked in these lanes for quite a long time and stuck in a bad spot.
Got to keep the tempo up. This is a window where Isles could roam as well. He might also need to answer this Bard, who's way earlier to the mid lane off of that reset. So that's what is happening. At least Isles running out. But this is an all-in.
Go all out. Yeah, Licorice pops the Dominus. He's going to flash away to try to get the Q heal off those minions, looking to just try to reset it because he is looking dead.
Yeah.
Castle's got him dead to rights. An easy first blood there for Immortals.
We got to see that again because that wasn't even close. That seems like something went horribly wrong there for Licorice. The wave was slow pushing towards the turret. He probably just took a bad trade while trying to crash it, and Castle hit 6 at a time where Licorice may not have expected it. So let's see. Yeah, Castle is 5, hit 6, immediately goes in for the Q. So that's a beautiful play by Castle.
Yeah, and also you can see the teleport hadn't been used, so I think Licorice hadn't even gone back to base yet.
Yeah.
So this is Castle going back to base. I saw he had bought a Bramble, so he goes back, he buys. Licorice wanted to try to crash the wave. It's just a little bit of greed in those situations. Even when the wave's in a bad spot, oftentimes you have to TP back with your item to be able to actually get that wave fully crashed, and now giving over that kill. Definitely a tough spot, and you can see that Immortals also going to be able to take the Dragon down on the bottom side. So good things happening here for Immortals. It is just a very slight lead, but it is one nonetheless.
And I just want to remind the viewers, if you weren't here at the start of the game, when Immortals is in playoff contention, across the last 3 years, they are 20-70. Okay? That's a 22% win rate. When Immortals has been eliminated from playoffs in the very next game, they are undefeated.
This is the very next game.
So Castle knows this. They have the Drake. They are completely on track to repeat history.
It's looking good. See if we can get that 5-0. But Licorice is going to be able to get a bit of trade there. Castle obviously hasn't been able to go back to base and spend since getting that kill. And Armao's coming up here. Will be spotted by the ward, but Licorice, again, in a bit of an awkward spot. We'll see how he's going to try to handle this. He's playing confidently, but maybe too confidently. He's going to get scooped back. Does get the slice through Castle, so we'll be able to dice to safety, and Armao just wants to help him push this in. Licorice is really trying to make it so that Castle couldn't go back to base and force him to stay around, not be able to spend up that gold. But unfortunately for him, he should be able to do it. Yeah, this does expose the bottom lane just a little bit, but Tactical is able to use his ultimate to clear that wave. Both junglers were spotted, so Immortals saw Spica pressuring the bot wave, just as Licorice saw Armao going top. I do wonder, actually, with that last play, if Armao had just walked over the ward, it felt like Licorice might have actually been a little bit exposed with no flash, no ult, and maybe they could have had another kill. But nonetheless, they got the crash, they got the reset, and lanes are back to standard. I kind of agree. It's one of those funny things sometimes where you're walking through, you see the warrior, like, well, surely he's already going to be backing off. Yeah. And then he's like, well, he's going to think I'm going to back off, so I'm not going to back. It becomes this weird mind game. But yeah, in that case, maybe could have just ran straight in and put a little bit more pressure on him.
Yeah, I mean, Castle landed the Q3, much like he did in the original All-In with the really beautiful solo kill he had right off the bat. But either way, I do actually want to say I like Armao on Zhao. I haven't thought he's played great on the AP junglers, but his best games, even going back to some of his EG games when he was playing with JoJo, I feel like he had a lot of them on Zhao. So a little bit more bruisery, a little bit more ability to take a lot of farm and then duel people, I think, is his strength.
Oh, Licorice in trouble. Again. Castle goes all out, and Licorice has got to get back to the tower, but I don't think he's going to be able to do it. Castle flashes forward. Licorice tries to dive, but it's to no avail as Castle cuts him in half, takes the second solo kill of the game.
He is an absolute beast this game. Double Cassante solo kills onto the Renekton. Wow. The first one, I'd say, was just perfect timing. We need to see this one again. He's just actually, while crashing the wave, Licorice tries to contest it, and Castle just doesn't miss a thing. He times the spells perfectly, he gets the kidnapped over the wall, and then the crucial flash and Q3 right there is what's able to secure the kill.
Yeah, that was really nicely done. I also really like the timing on his W to be able to actually pull him back through the wave, then knock him into the wall, setting up his kidnap. Was really, really good. And now Licorice is in tough. You're playing one of these champions that is really much more of that early game champion. You're behind now, so you can't really even win 1v1 against Castle. And it's a lot harder to have that value in a 5v5 than it is for Cassante. So we'll see what he's going to be able to try to get done. Licorice not having, I think, as good of a split as he would have hoped in his return. You know, when he obviously left off of Golden Guardians, when they left the league, he was, I think, pretty much unanimously the best top laner in the league, and he hasn't been able to quite get back to that level just yet, but, you know, trying to work towards it.
And I think that's one of the most interesting things about this Dignitas team is because on paper, they, if you adjust your calendar to a different date, they're a super team. So some of them call them like a boomer super team, and some people don't think they're going to amount to too much. But I will say they have the experience and they've reached those peaks in the past, which to me actually increases the chance of them being able to reach those peaks again, because everyone has experienced being that first team all-pro on this team. Licorice was this last split he played, Jensen several times as well, but that's a good pick.
Yeah, Mask is in a lot of trouble. He's going to go between two worlds, but now he's just going to go back to the spawn. Armao caught as well, and he is sure to follow here also as Jensen arrives with the TP to pick up an easy one. Licorice stuns up Castle, but he will be able to walk it out. Mask getting caught out there. Does use the ulti just to die, and the second kill going over makes it hurt that much more because Jensen got that one, and they're going to get the grubs off of it.
Very solid start for Jensen now. 13 CS up on Aurora. Cull yet to convert, and then also being able to pick up a 6 grub along with the rest of his team. So he is absolutely off to the races. Watching this one more time, Mask W down to pop over the wall and then gets hooked. That's very disrespectful in the face to Isles. And then his ult is really completely wasted there. So that'll be down for another 2 minutes basically, as well as giving control of the game over to Dig.
Yeah, I mean, that early ultimate cooldown is quite long, right? So,
yeah.
It is tough when you do kind of lose those early ults. You know, that's so much of what you pick Aurora for is that playmaking, the potential to actually find these picks. You know, Wing in with the invis, you can even close even more gap with the weirding, with that E, and then being able to pick people out with the ulti is so powerful. So it's tough when that first one goes wrong.
I will say they've stabilized a little bit here, picking up their second dragon, stacking up fairly quickly by 12 minutes. He's also gone with the Malignance, which, even though he's not ahead, is going to give him access to that ultimate way more frequently. And let's see if Castle can do it again. Jensen has to flash.
Yeah, Castle is just so strong at this point. Jensen can't hurt him at all. I mean, look at the item completions. He might even get caught here. He could potentially, if that Q hit, he could have maybe chased him down. It's already on an item and a half. Jensen just has tier 2 boots, and he's looking to cash out his cull. It's not like he's weak at this point in the game. You know, he's been farming well and whatnot, but Castle has 2 solo kills to his name and is ridiculously strong. So Zeri is just not even close to being able to hurt this guy.
Olleh just stole, I believe, several Kruggies from Spica there with his Bard annoyance. But I completely agree. Castle's great game. He's just doing Bard things,
This is the most fun part about Bard, is just running around being annoying. I love playing with Champion. One of my favorite supports for sure.
And Tactical's gone BF sword, so he's pretty self-reliant. He's just...
Oh, man. That's fantastic.
I mean, is it doing anything other than... Because
you're annoying him.
It's wasting Olleh's time, and they're both supports, really. He's gone Locket Maokai. He hasn't even gone
he's got, you know, he's supposed to be out there on the map. He's supposed to be doing things.
He's already cleared all his camps. Like,
okay, fair.
He wouldn't be doing anything.
Fair. He could be standing menacingly behind one of his teammates.
True. I mean, for what it's worth,
Jensen
maybe
in trouble here, but he actually pulls him under the tower. It isn't even going to matter. Castle just O's all out and takes down Jensen in the face of the turret. Zven's ulti can do nothing. It's another solo kill for him, 3 in a row.
This is like that baseball game where you check the box score and it's just 3 home runs for one player and everyone else is struck out every time. That's kind of how Immortals is playing at the moment.
Yeah, Castle's going crazy, and Immortals going to try to take advantage of this. They are over towards this Herald. Dignitas is in the area, but this would be a bit risky here. You know, Jensen's dead, doesn't have TP, and you already used the ulti from Zven, so I do think this is dicey. Maybe they're just going to try to poke and prod, see if they can find an angle to steal. And meanwhile, we do have Licorice taking that tower bot.
Bit of a weird play, because now everyone's shown. Okay. Spica really wants it.
Yeah, they're going to actually look for him. Tactical is back over the wall, but the TP's now coming in, and they're going to try to turn and fight. They go in between 2 worlds. They lock him down, and they can't actually find Mask. Zven is on the run, had to flash out over the wall. Licorice has arrived as well behind Tactical. I don't think there's any angle for him to re-engage. Surprised that Dignitas decided to posture so aggressively for that fight when there was no way Jensen could ever join.
Yeah, I agree. Dignitas, whoever was there, really thought that was a good look. That's the only plausible explanation for why they would have gone in that instance, but it is super dangerous against the Aurora in that river because the ult's going to hit absolutely everyone. It's not perfect lockdown, but it's pretty close to being able to be a hard engaged spell, and they very easily pick up the 1 for 0 after getting the Rift Herald.
Yeah, it feels like one of those situations where you're like, okay, let's contest Herald. You realize you can't do that, and they're like, well, we can't let them get out for free. We at least got to get something, and it's kind of that overforce.
Yeah, and they did get something. Licorice took turret on the bot side, so it was a Rift Herald 4 turret global map trade, but they definitely just got a little bit greedy. Let's see what Castle can do, man. Three solo kills, and like legit solo kills. These are not the other team fails a dive on you and the turret helps out, but the stat sheet says you got 2. These are 3 like
or
legit
your jungler
1v1
softens them
solo
up
kills.
for you, and then and then the tag falls off and you get it. Yeah, he is really playing well. And is going to be on 2 items very quickly. It looks like he's probably going to be on 2 items before Licorice completes his first. So it's definitely a tough spot for them, but gold's still very close overall. Zeri scaling up, but there's a pick coming out from Mask. Going to try to find Jensen. Misses on the weirding and decides better of it. Just trying to buy time for Olleh, who arrives. Armao's here as well. He's going to pop the lightning crash, trying to run back to the tower. Can he survive? He cannot, as Mask takes him down. Tactical coming in now as well. Looking to slow up Isles, who will be able to flash out to safety. It's a good pick. It's down on the bottom side. It's a 1v2 for Castle, and he likes his odds. We'll see if he can pull it off. Licorice getting low, trying to wait for the spells to come back up to look to go in. There's the Q3 from Castle. He's trying to run back. He's going to flash over the wall. Flash twisted advance. Comes in. There's the stun from Licorice. They should get the shutdown. Licorice grabs it. A critical bunch of gold there going in towards the Renekton as Olleh now finds a Tempered Fate. The binding is there. It does connect on him, and Armao's right in on top of him. Tactical there as well. Another kill going to be picked up. Armao wanted to give it to Tactical, had to take it himself as was getting a bit out of range.
And even though Castle fell there, I credit him for that Zven kill at the end of the day because he prolonged that fight for so long, made Dignitas overcommit, and the overall map play is heavily in favor of Immortals. Now you have a situation where Zven is dead, and this is going to be sole point going over unless Dig decide to contest this one, and it's not looking like it with Jensen pushing top lane.
Yeah, I mean, Spica was looking like he maybe wanted to try to get in, but then realizing there's not really any way to do so. A lot of quick dragons going their way. Dignitas has just not really been prepared to contest at these dragons, and now putting themselves in a pretty dicey spot because this is Hextech Soul. That is one of the best ones in the entire game, and they are now at Soul Point here before 18 minutes has even clicked over in the game.
Yeah, definitely makes me feel like the next Drake fight could decide the game because we know that Zeri scaling is incredibly strong. We also know that Hextech Soul is likely going to be a W for Immortals, but the gold is extremely close. So the Soul fight could actually be very competitive. This is a replay of Castle going for the solo kill on Licorice. I like the idea of the kidnap over the wall, but it does deliver him straight to Spica. Potentially, if he had stayed in the lane and not kidnapped over the wall, maybe he would have had a higher chance of surviving the actual fight. But Dignitas just has to commit so much to him. Flash from Maokai, looks like Flash from Renekton as well, both ultimates. And then Zven at the tail end gets picked off, and an arrow is just like, I guess he does have to die eventually. It is possible.
Yeah, it's tough though. I mean, I agree. Maybe had he not kidnapped over the wall, but of course we had the knowledge, we had the vision that he was there. Exactly. He didn't know that Maokai was there. As Isles going to get caught out, as he's between worlds here by Mask, and he is going nowhere fast. Tactical trying to knock him down, but doing so little damage. And now the depth charge does interrupt. Olleh takes the kill at the end of the day. They were struggling to knock down that support. Nautilus had to let the ulti rip there. And now going to try to move up towards topside. We'll see what they can get as they want to take control up around this barren area. Armao charging straight over there.
Definitely going to take the kill. I do love Tactical there with the take notes emote from MSI 2021.
That's one of the best emotes they've ever done.
It's really nice, especially when you're able to get the, like, basically MF ulting into instant interrupt into, like, take notes, brother.
I love saying when I play Malzahar, you ult them and you just spam things like that or thumbs up. And people get so mad.
The most anti-counter
yeah, exactly. It's so fun. All right, well, Herald dropped here is going to get the crash in. Won't do enough to actually take down the tower, but still worthwhile sacrifice there as they soften up that mid lane tier 1. When you're playing against Ziggs, that is pretty important to be able to finally unlock that. Take away this bastion of safety here from Zven, because Dignitas are down, but they are not out. If they can stop this next dragon, if they can stop Soul, they have very good scaling. They can still kind of continue to work towards that.
This is actually still a very close game. I do want to really track Aurora in the next team fight, because even though he suffered an early death getting picked in mid lane, he's got himself in a pretty strong state now. Liandry's Malignant's completed. Level 14, so rank 2 of the ultimate. It's only on a 72-second cooldown at the moment. His one-shot burst is extremely high. There's no magic resistance on the Ziggs or the Zeri, so if he finds the right access, they could really wipe the floor in this next team fight. But if he gets picked out early by a nice hook from Isle's Nautilus, then it's going to swing the other way. So I really do think this next Hextech fight, or maybe about 30 seconds before it as they're jostling for vision, is going to be a game decider.
Yeah, I mean, Immortals clearly want to try to focus on it. You know, they're playing very heavily in the spot side, trying to create as much control as they can down there. They do have the option, of course, if they think, hey, you know, Dignitas has that space controlled, they can just give up that one dragon and try to play for towers, try to play for something else. But they've already taken down the tier 1 top and bot, so wouldn't be any easy ones. Gonna go between worlds. They're looking for Zven. He gets locked in, but he walked out of the ulti and now went way too far. Really bungled that one. Unlocked the ult for Zven to walk out and hand-delivered himself over to Dignitas.
He just pressed the button too many times from the looks of it, because we'll need to see that in the replay again. I saw the idea, let's ult them under turret, then let's walk through it to mess with the turret aggro and shoot himself back to the lane afterwards, but he cancels his own ult before he can walk through it.
Castle now potentially in trouble. Zven is TP'd in behind him. He has to make sure he doesn't give him a way to kidnap him out to safety. Gonna try to go over towards Zven, and he does go all out. Doesn't get all the way over the wall though, and now gonna get rooted up by Isles. They're looking for the chase. He's jumped over, sliced over the wall, does have the stun. They are gonna grab the kill. Nice TP play there by Zven. A good collapse by Dignitas to get back-to-back kills on the IMT soul laners.
And flash burned on both soul laners with only 40 seconds left before this Hextech soul. I don't know if we're gonna have time to replay that play in the mid lane. Okay, we actually get to. Let's watch what Mask does here. So if Aurora steps to the edge of the Aurora ult, she gets to snap backwards. So I feel like Mask ults in here. If he flashed over his own ultimate.
Even worse. Oh no.
Oh no. Okay.
Yeah, I thought what he was trying to do was he was going to bounce in, use his spells, and then try to bounce back. But but he didn't even turn off his ult. He flashed out of it, which turns it off. So that's rough, and that is some of those new champ.
It's a new champ.
New champ jitters, I guess. You know, you have to get really used to it, and messed up the mechanics on that one. Allows Zven to survive.
And now Dig have first setup. They have good control vision. They have Maokai saplings. It's really difficult for Immortals to retake. They don't have bot or mid push, so they have to run through this really narrow corridor of the jungle where they're also spotted out by saplings.
Yeah, Spica is looking like he's ready to fight. They're going to try to funnel in. There's between worlds. It catches multiple members. The ulti coming out from Tactical, but it hasn't taken down Jensen. Jensen's stunned up though, but Zven putting back some damage as well, and it's Licorice in the back line on the other side. Tactical flashes out, barely survives, and now Licorice, Steric's pop, trying to turn it back onto Castle. He goes all out, but he delivers himself into Jensen. Licorice gets the kill. Armao going back in. The blinking health bars just won't go down as Licorice gets out of there to safety. Another kill goes to Dig. They take the fight. This was a really scrappy one, but the positioning made all the difference for Dignitas.
It really did. That's such a difficult approach to the Drake pit. If you cannot approach through either the mid or the bot lane, it's so tight. And Azael, they actually almost pulled it off, because watch this engage using the Aurora ultimate with the layer of MF ult over the top. The start of this fight actually looks really good. They also, if that Bard ult landed a fraction earlier, Zven got his Ziggs ult off at the very start, and then Licorice flanks and takes Tactical out of the fight. I think at this point, if Immortals just resets, maybe they're going to be able to base, but because Tactical at the top is so low, when Castle re-engages, Tactical really just can't contribute. So the extra re-engage there by Armao adds some insult to injury, and that's the fight. That's the fight that Dignitas needed to win.
Absolutely, that was huge. I mean, Tactical flashed out of the wall with almost no health, was trying to heal up off the minions with his BT, but couldn't really re-enter the fight, as you say, and Zven was untouched pretty much throughout all of it. Licorice was shockingly tanky there. It's clearly Immortals trying to defend this. We'll see if the Tempered Fate is actually even available. Are they going to look for the chase down? Jensen is here, as is Isles. The Crescent Guard's popped there by Armao as he wants to keep the fight going. but can't quite do so. And now the Nature's Grasp going to get popped here from Spica. He's trying to go in. Nice buffer there, though, from Castle, and he's going to be able to Bard Portal out to safety. Well handled on the disengage there by Dig. Or excuse me, by Immortals.
Ultimate Bard teamwork right there. And then Cassante immuning the Maokai ultimate before hopping in is pretty huge. Good poke by Zven, but now he's going to be out an ultimate. And no objective is there. Although he's got to have a pretty low cooldown on that ultimate at this point as well for the Ziggs. Rank 2 in his ultimate, yeah, it's only a 67-second cooldown at the moment. So it's worth making the enemy mid laner reset.
Yep, and it just gives them even more control. And they have still, 25 minutes in, kept that tier 1 mid up. So he has been able to maintain that kind of area of safety. Dignitas playing pretty heavily around this Baron now, trying to threaten that. As Tactical moving down towards bot. Armao is there as well, but doesn't want to show multiple members because it could trigger a Dignitas start on the Baron.
Immortals in a tough spot.
Satchel Charge does connect. He's fine. He's just going to walk that one out.
You know, one fun fact that Zven just blowing his whole cooldown bar on Mask there reminded me of. When AD carry players play mages and when mages play AD carries. The way they play team fights, I feel like, is more hardwired. So I feel like Zven, compared to a mid lane Ziggs player, is just going to throw out all his cooldowns for max DPS.
Oh, Jensen potentially in trouble. Does have to jump over the wall. I can see what you're saying. You know, they have kind of different stylistic tendencies that they'll try to play it differently. Hook coming in, though. There's the dredge line and the depth charge. Mask locked down, but does survive, or does he? The Ignite not quite enough to take him down, nor was the Leandry's burn that I think was on there from Zven. So Mask limps out of that one, but again, he was forced to reset by Zven, comes back, forced to reset once more. Yeah,
he's just taking so much poke, has no magic resist, so Zven's just destroying him with poke at this point. But yeah, to finish the point, Zven is going to kind of max DPS on Ziggs, and then I think Jensen's going to bide his time a little bit more than a traditional Zeri player. It's going to balance out since they have kind of both of them, but it's something that is... I've just noticed it across the years whenever you see AD carry players play mages and mages play AD carries.
I think it's one of the things that also is making it so impressive when you have players who can play both at an incredibly high level, right? When you can really adapt to the playstyle that is required. I mean, that's one of the things that people have always credited Faker with because he has been so meta-proof over the last decade plus that he has dominated in competition, whether it's a tank, whether it's an enchanter, whether it's an AD, you know? That kind of thing, I think, is really hard to do because you have these tendencies that are so built in from playing a control mage or from playing a specific style. And being able to change that to fit what you need in the game is really tough.
Really is. Licorice recovered pretty well in this game despite getting solo killed twice with the way they played sidelines. He's actually up in CS now.
Tactical's here. I don't think Licorice realizes it. Spica's coming in as well, but Licorice is getting burst down fast. They're going to be low on damage. The Nation's come through. And the Ziggs ulti from downtown rains hell down on Immortals. Tactical is gone. Castle is gone. And Licorice stands atop their corpses.
Spica past Tactical into the center of the Ziggs ult with his Maokai Q. That was awesome to look at. It appeared as if Licorice was getting baited with Tactical, but no, it was the Ziggs from the mid lane comboed with Spica, so he roots him here and then bloop right into the sweet spot for Licorice to finish him off with the empowered Q.
That is the perfect alley-oop there. Yeah, it was looking rough because so much damage was getting put down on Licorice. I thought he was going to die and then Spica would just be left alone, not having enough damage to out-damage this Bloodthirster, but it definitely did not account for how much Zven was going to be able to get done. Coming down from mid lane was very quick to move towards that fight and found the perfect ulti.
And we're again in the situation where Immortals is trying to approach this potential soul. They're now down 4,000 gold. They have a little bit better approach here, but Armao's caught out.
There's the engage. Spica's going forward here. Spica has to flash back, though. A little bit overzealous on trying to start out that play again. This is what happened last time. We were fighting around this tri-brush. The positioning is so important.
Ziggs, Maokai completely blocked that spot.
They're looking for Licorice, though. Licorice forced to pop the dominance. He's trying to run out of there, but he is already very low. Does have his teleport to rejoin. The Nature's Grasp has popped, but in goes Azael. The Ziggs ulti across 3, but it's bullet time, baby. Tactical lets it rip, softening up so many members. The Dignitas health bars are very low. There is a world where they can still win this fight. They have the extra man alive as Mask did fall. But now the Ziggs bomb starting to take their toll. Isles hooks in. It was a great buffer, though, as now Spica going back in Armao. Armao is caught out, and he's got no crescent guard. He's fallen down. The chase is on for Dignitas. They wipe out the jungler. They wipe out the mid laner. They're going to claim the dragon.
Taking more and more control of this game as Jensen and Zven are online with Ziggs and Zeri. You can really see when this team comp sets up first, the Ziggs stuff that he can just put on the ground and the Maokai saplings are making it so incredibly difficult for Immortals to make any sort of engage. And then also Mask, bless him for playing the Aurora, but he's getting picked off too many times.
Yeah.
He's not making good effect of this Aurora ultimate. He is not the one able to engage and is in fact the one getting picked frequently.
Yeah, he's really struggling, I think, on this Aurora. That pink ward, unfortunately, doesn't actually spot the Immortals ward that is beside them in that brush, so may not realize that there is still vision there. Aurora, I think, is very difficult to play perfectly in team fights. You know, the laning phase, honestly, is quite easy. I think it's a really strong laning champion, but if you misplay in these fights, especially if you're not on Zonias, you know, you go in at the wrong time, you get stunned up, you are squishy. Yes, you have a lot of mobility, you have the invisibility, but if you miss position, you can get burst down in a hurry.
They're in such a difficult spot at the moment, really just hoping that Baron doesn't get snuck on them and wait until the next chance at a soul. But the fact that they've had 2 chances on soul point now and had difficult approaches both times puts them on the back foot, but definitely not over. I mean, if they do land one nice Bard ultimate, they could still break this game open, and their pick potential is still really high with the burst from Aurora.
Yeah, they do have this nice combo, you know, with the bullet time, with the Aurora ulti, trying to be able to find that. Castle still very tanky as well, but time of the tanks is kind of over. He flashes in, tries to catch Zven. Nothing but air there. A swing and a miss, unfortunately, for Castle. The ulti nicely absorbed by the Locket, so not too much damage done.
I mean, that's why you buy Locket.
There you go. That's value.
That was like 3,000 damage reduced in one button press. That's a tooltip. That's one of those games that support your mouse over your tooltip, like, yeah, that blocks so much damage. He's blocked 4,000 damage this game with it. I wonder if
that's
my
probably
spectator...
one ulti.
Yeah. Before that ulti, it was 2,400. So that one press, he's going to feel good about that. Otherwise, it doesn't matter.
Yeah, pretty good.
Oh, yeah.
That's the other Locket.
Yeah, so
that's the inferior
Isles
Locket,
has
observers.
Locketed less.
This is a good Locket.
Isles Locketed less the whole game, half as much as Olleh Locketed in a split second.
Yeah, come on. What are you doing, Isles?
Support gap. Who cares if they're on a 10-game losing streak?
Yeah, who cares? As long as you beat your role, you know?
Speaking of which, I gotta remind people, there is history at stake here. In the last 3 years, when Immortals is directly eliminated from playoff contention, they're undefeated. This could be their first loss. In the last 3 years, the game after they've been eliminated from playoffs. I know that's a mouthful, but it is historic.
It is historic. It's not necessarily important history, but it is history, nonetheless.
And I really want them to win so that we can run the next stat as well, but it's not looking good. It's looking like Dig has got this one as they slow start this Baron.
Yeah, they are looking pretty dominant right now. Tactical, the only one actually in the area. No one else from Immortals is even over here. Now they get the bad news that they may be too late. The Temper Fake going to buy a little bit of time. Let's see, can Armao even get there? He gets Satchel charged away. He's not going to get in range. The Nature's Grasp helps on the disengage. Licorice just slices over the wall. They may try to find a fight here, but I think it would be ill-advised as they are pretty split. So Dignitas pulls off the heist. Tier 1 tower still alive.
Yeah.
And the Baron is theirs.
This game, I feel like, encapsulates the difference between a stage team and a scrim team. And we heard so many rumors throughout the entire split about how bad Dignitas was in scrims, but because of the collective experience of this roster, they know how to grind out wins on stage. They are not making
years
mistakes.
of experience would you say they had?
If I could figure it out. I figured it out. I would say it's about 45.
Okay, 45.
I'm just guessing.
So not quite 200.
We might have time to do the math. You never know with how they only have 2 Drakes. So they might get all the way to the Hextech Soul if they don't make something happen with this Baron.
You know what? If I'm Immortals, I still am coping and feel like, hey, you could get Hextech Soul, and maybe you could get back into this game, you know? I think it's going to be really hard for them to do that, but
one fight.
Hextech Soul is so powerful. If you can take that away, it really could change the course of this game, but Dignitas setting up the siege here might just let the Maokai ultimate rip if they want to try to create some space. The ulti connects, but it's only on the Maokai. And Maokai drops his ulti as well. And the Ziggs ult this time not locking it. Olleh's got a flash out of there between worlds. Comes down. Here's the bullet time across multiple members. Jensen incredibly low, but Armao doesn't have the juice to finish him off. Isle's trying to get out of there, but he has no flash. Mask gets the kill. How much of a chase can we pull off? Mask is trying to come, but he gets poked away by Zven. Pushed back there.
This is so important. Drake is up in 2 seconds, so if they can get a couple more picks, they'll get the soul.
Yeah, we'll see if they're going to be able to do it. Licorice in the middle of everybody right now as Castle's trying to interrupt the teleport. He's not getting out of there. He loses the J, he loses his ult, and he might just die again.
Jensen's pushing mid as well. He's trying to take inhibitors while it's happening. It's chaos.
This is becoming absolute chaos. Jensen working on that, but meanwhile, Immortals, are they just going to commit to this and actually pull it?
They have to.
They could potentially lose the game right here, right now. It's up to Spica, it's up to Zven, because it's a base race, but now Mask has respawned. Immortals are going to be able to get this. Oh, he stole it! Zven steals away the Hextech Soul with the ulti. Castle's trying to get out of there, but I don't know if he can. And now Jensen's coming back. Jensen's caught off on the other side. Castle's winning a fight in the bottom side. He takes down Zven. Jensen falls at the top. And the fight is just absolute chaos. Castle looks like he's going to win in the 1v2, but Spica flashes out. Can't continue the chase. Castle eventually, no, did he give them the slip? He did not. Isles is there, taking no chances, pops the ulti, but misses the hook. And Castle walks out of a crazy fight. I cannot believe how close that got. It went down to 6 HP. I think it was taken by a Leandri's tick from Zven, but I want to see that one more time.
I did see it at 6. I have no idea if it was a smite that took it to 6 or if it was a Ziggs ult that took it to 6.
I think the ult and the smite hit about the same time.
Game of the year, Azael.
That was crazy.
It wasn't a comet because the comet comes in late.
It might have been, you know, his Q at the same time as the ult, but
yeah,
it looked like it might have just been a Leandri's tick from the ult.
I'm going to slow-mo this and figure this out.
Yeah, I'm sure they'll give us a replay on that because that was nuts. Okay, here we go. Here's the replay. Let's watch this one more time. As this was getting down incredibly low. Down to 1,800, 1,300, 1,200 to 6, and then there was no other spell, so it
must have been the Leandri's.
I think it was Leandri's. Unless the E ticked on it as well, it's really hard to tell, but I do think it was Leandri's there that got it for Zven. That is heartbreaking for Armao, and honestly tough to outsmite that Ziggs ult this late in the game.
Well, it's actually kind of impossible from 1274 to 0 because the smite will do 1,200, and if he smites before the ult lands, he's guaranteeing that the ult takes it. Unless he already had a spell on windup to burst it from 1350.
Yeah, you'd need to, you know, W smite or something like that to try to get it from above, but that is tough. And then, I mean, all chaos broke out as it was this Olleh, of course, he steals it. He's still having a fun game. Deathless on the Bard, 1-0 and 7. You know, Castle was able to pull off a 1v2 against Spica and Zven, killed him off, nearly got the second kill. Jensen was going for what could have potentially been a game ender, but then they collapsed and they kill off him. And the game will continue. Immortals getting a little bit closer off that. They still are going to have another crack at this soul, but the next time, someone is going to get it. So this next dragon fight is going to be chaos, Jatt.
That was definitely the closest they've been to soul of all 3 of their tries. By far.
Mathematically, yes.
Yeah, it gave them a little bit of extra gold as well from that whole fight, but they did lose their mid inhibitor. At the very least, I'd say that was the best use of just straight up, front to back, running in with Aurora ult, but not like inting as Aurora, and then just letting the MF ult come in over the top. It's going to be a little bit less effective if they do it again, because Zven has stopwatch now, so he can just immune a lot of it. They also have double locket on the team, so even though 2 lockets are not perfectly synergistic, it will be extra shield.
And he used his hook there as well, so not going to find an easy way out. We'll see if he gets kidnapped by Castle. Castle doesn't want to let the ulti go. Instead, he's going to find Zven, and Zven is going to be in trouble here. Tactical looking for an angle to find the ulti. Doesn't do it just yet, but Zven is gone without even popping it. But there's nothing to take just yet. The Baron's going to be up in 20 seconds, so that's what they're waiting for. And it is going to be quite a long respawn timer here for both Zven and Isles, but Jensen, meanwhile, is pushing the base.
And that's a full item Zeri. These turrets are not going to last long. No one can really stand and fight him, so Armao, he wants to speed up time for this Baron because it's a painful wait right now. Jensen's getting this inhibitor, I think.
But Mask did about 2/3 of his health with 1 QE, and Mask is now looking for more. Immortals, though, on the other side are back on the Baron. Jensen has backed off. We'll see if Dignitas is going to be able to actually get over there and try to challenge this Baron. It doesn't look like there's going to be any chance of it. So Immortals have been able to grab themselves a Baron. They'll maintain map control. and they'll be able to go into this next dragon here in a position of power. The gold lead is really going to mean nothing here with that Baron buff active.
Yeah, this game is absolutely incredible. So there's 2 waves of super minions that Immortals need to fight through in order to make it to this Hextech Drake. And I need to remind people that Immortals can't lose. Like, there is a supernatural power here that keeps them in this game. Dignitas is pulling off some amazing stuff. The fact that they denied the soul with that Ziggs ultimate, this next fight is likely going to decide.
I mean, the supernatural power so far this game has been called Castle. He has been really, really good for Immortals so far this game. 3 solo kills. I think 4 even if you count the Zven one in the 1v2. I don't think anyone else had a tag on him. Dignitas here first, though. 15 seconds until this dragon does spawn. This would be Soul.
Full item mask.
Do have Castle in mid as well. That does tag in onto Spica, but it looks like for now, gonna look for the ulti. Doesn't connect. Nice satchel charge out to safety there by Zven. But Immortals at the very least have positioning here now on the dragon.
Dig really want to poke and avoid getting hard engaged on. Licorice might be caught out. But even if Immortals starts this Drake, I think Dignitas is okay because they'd rather be the ones engaging from afar and having a nice front to back.
Yeah, we'll see though, because they can't actually force them.
They gotta go. They gotta go.
Licorice is coming around the side. This dragon is going down pretty quick. Now both teams pausing.
Oh,
and there's the Nature's Grasp going in. It's down to 4K. It's down to 5K. Between Two Worlds comes out, but it only catches Isles, and Isles is okay. Licorice in the back line, and Armao gets the dragon. Will it make the difference? Jensen in trouble on the other side. Castle's in on top of him. Can he make it happen in the 1v3? He can. Surely he can. He got Jensen, and on the other side, bullet time goes, and it takes down another. Zven's on the run, but he's got nowhere to go. Immortals take the fight, trying to chase down everyone as Castle, looking for Spica, looking for Isles. They're going to try to end the game. They're marching down mid, Jatt.
I think they've done it. That's an MF full build, killing these turrets. That's a support and jungler running away. Immortals is going to move to 5-0 after being eliminated from playoffs. They are unstoppable, Azael.
An absolutely insane game, back and forth. Dignitas looked like they were taking control, but Immortals refused to give up, and in the critical fight, they make it happen, and they're going to take down Dignitas in game number 1 of this series. They're going to start off this final week right. They are going to break their 10-game losing streak and try to end the season how they started it. We'll see if they can get that 2-0.
Take notes. That's how it's done. Tactical on the misfortune, but the key of this game was Castle. His 3 solo kills on Cassante, and that 1v3 in the final fight after Armao secured the soul ended up sealing the deal. And all jokes aside, these Immortals players, they're also playing for contracts in the future.
Yeah.
Like, it has not been a great split. Every one of these players wants to end the split on a positive note. So even if the standings say they have nothing to play for, they have plenty to play for.
Absolutely. Well, congratulations to all of you at home who are headed for a first place finish in Fantasy LCS on Sleeper. For those of you who don't make it to the winner's circle, come back next split for a shot at redemption. Now, let's head on over to the LCS Lounge to break that one down.
Welcome back. Immortals, having been removed from playoff contention, keep their undefeated streak.
There is something supernatural happening here. Jatt is right about it. The game looked lost. It looked lost.
Well, it looked so won.
Yeah.
Yes.
Into so lost.
Yes.
Into won.
Yes.
That was a beautiful thing about this game. And I think that tenacity is an uncoachable thing. And I think that right now, Immortals players showing that they are still really playing for something out there, and you can see it. They're playing with some desperation because all game long, the individuals are looking to step up and generate some action.
Yeah.
And I think credit to Castle, 3 solo kills. Not only 3 solo kills, but 3 solo kills with his jungler on the opposite side of the map, heavily prioritizing the dragons. Enemy mid lane moving first, and he's like, I don't care. I'm going to win this game by myself or die trying.
Well, we saw it in a lot of these team fights too. Like, even in the team fights, they lost. Castle is like on the flank, trying to get someone on the backside of every single one of these fights as we roll through some of the highlights. This is the fight where you see how their composition should work, but they still end up losing because Licorice is actually able to get around through the backline onto Tactical.
Yeah, Zven was completely safe on the top side of Aurora ulti with stopwatch, and Renekton gets the flank, so I'm like, now we've seen 2 instances of this combo trying to work, with one that happened through mid lane turret and Aurora flashing out of her own ulti. And then I was like, oh, are we never going to see it really be successful for IMT? Thankfully, by the end, we ended up seeing some good ones.
Yeah, but this was maybe the greatest Maokai Q of all time. Just knocks him back into the middle of the sweet spot. That does so much more damage. And this is the part of the game where you think that Dignitas just can't lose. It looks like their group team fight is just too strong. Looks like every single time anything goes to the side lane, they're winning. But what I will credit with Immortals with here is that they stuck to the game plan. They obviously felt like there was something behind this Aurora MF combo.
Yes.
So they just kept throwing it out there, and eventually it stuck. You know, eventually this fight, they're able to clean up the back end of it. They're able to get the GAs out. They're able to get all the summoner spells and start to turn the game around in their favor.
Yeah, and even being able to see K'Sante on flank, I just felt like K'Sante in these fights knew exactly what his role was. This is for sure just, we're talking about contract games. This is just a contract game of history for Castle of how he performed in these fights.
Yeah, as we see,
one.
I mean that was the Baron steal. This is going to be kind of the final fight, where I actually thought it was a little doomed at first, especially with the fact that Licorice was able to get on the back line, but then he dies, and then watch Castle on the top of your screen.
I mean, call it what it is. This is just a straight up 1v3. The guy is genuinely 1v3ing 3 champions, one of them being an AD carry with 2 peeling tanks, and K'Sante's kit obviously very fair and balanced because just ignores all of Nautilus's and Maokai's CC to be able to continually chase down the most mobile AD carry in the game.
Bring back the Showmaker copy pasta.
He's sneezing from across the ocean right now. He can feel it in his bones.
But yeah, genuinely insanely well played from Castle. And this is what I meant. There is something to this Immortals team. These solo laners are genuinely classy players.
Yeah, and we'll see if they can actually take the series 2-0, or if Dignitas will be able to come back. Earlier in the day, we asked you to show off your LCS fandom, and Robin on X answered the call. So keep showing us how you celebrate with hashtag #TalkYourSplit, and Game 2 will be coming back after the break. That's really well organized.
That's a solid wall.
Yeah, I like it. Also, Top Esports, shout out. Nice.
Hell yeah.
Each player will be given a Twitch emote to act out, and the others must guess what emote it is, even the person acting it out. Simple enough. What the Twitch emote charades.
Let's do it again.
I don't have better fish.
Oh,
Wow.
they're
So-
You should make sound. What is that? What is that?
I don't know how to do it.
What is doing? Kappa.
Red Bull gives you wings.